Welcome to Latino Review's first look at the Conan script, Compliments of El Diablo. This is the latest attempt at reviving Robert E. Howard's legendary Conan the Barbarian for the screen. This might be hard to believe, but it's been 25 years since Governor Arnold last picked up the sword to play Conan in the 1984 sequel, Conan the Destroyer. And though he also co-starred in the Red Sonja spin-off a few years later, Howard's original character has mainly been relegated to television cartoons and comic books since then. In the past few years, it's been far too common for lazy producers to try to resuscitate successful franchises from the past, and it's been rumored for months that director Brett Ratner might take the reins on a Conan relaunch. We'll abstain from commenting on what we think about Ratner helming any movie, because he has so many projects in the works. Who knows if he'll even get to this one. Either way, we're just going to go with what we read in the screenplay. With the simple title of Conan, this 100-page first draft script is credited to Thomas Dean Donnelly and Joshua Oppenheimer, co-writers of Sahara and Sound of Thunder, and who've been involved with writing movies based on the comic strip character Mandrake and Kevin Munro's Dylan Dog movie, Dead of Night, both which reportedly have started production. This is a straight relaunch that doesn't seem to be based on any one particular story from any of the hundreds of stories of Conan by Howard or others, literally beginning with Conan in the womb as his pregnant mother, Isline, and his father Corin fight off the Iser. Appropriately, Conan is born in the midst of battle, ripped from his mother's belly when she's pinned down by Iser javelins. Following his gory origin, the film follows Conan as a young blue-eyed boy fighting off pick savages and learning the craft of being a blacksmith to forge his own swords. Much of the movie's setup deals with Conan's relationship with his father Corin, who is very protective of the brash young boy, who is already a brave and fearless warrior at a young age. Conan's childhood ends when he and his father travel to the trading city of Brigantium, where the teen has an encounter with his first prostitute and a band of thieves. As Conan takes the ladder out, we're introduced to the film's main baddie, the warlord Kalar Singh, who, learning that a great king will come from the barbarian race of Cimmerians, sets his men against the Cimmerian warriors, using sorcery that turns their woven companions into hideous and savage werebeasts that promptly turn on their masters. This first battle gives a good sense of the immense scale the film will have to be, as well as the amount of CG that will be necessary to create the various creatures. The battle results in Conan being left alone as the last Cimmerian, and the script jumps forward a number of years, where the early scene becomes motivation for Conan, avenging his people by going after Singh and those responsible for the death of his people, tracking the soldiers down and scratching them off his list, Kill Bill style. By that point, Singh has become insanely obsessed with the dark arts, and his men descend upon a valley of monks with great war mammoths. We meet the film's female protagonist and Conan's love interest, 22-year-old Tamara, a young sorceress who gets into the middle of the conflict between Conan and Singh. Those war mammoths will probably add a good amount to what should be a pretty heavy-duty CG budget, as will the slimy black worms that Singh uses to get information out of those he throws into their pit as sacrifice. The writing is florid, but not in a silly way like some of the Conan comics have been written. The Cimmerian deity Crom is only referenced a few times rather than being mentioned in every other line of dialogue, for instance. Even so, the character in some ways is more like the way he was envisioned by Howard, literally an ultra-violent, womanizing barbarian. Even so, there's a good amount of humor in the way Conan gets into trouble with his drinking that might remind some of Johnny Depp as Captain Jack Sparrow, and this certainly would make it a great breakout role for the right actor, much like Leonidas did for Gerard Butler. Actually, Butler would probably be able to pull this off too, but who knows if he wants to do another movie like this. Essentially, the three big roles that need to be cast will be Conan, Kalar Singh, and Tamara, plus many other smaller roles, appearing only for a few minutes of screen time before being slaughtered either by Conan or Singh. The one exception is Singh's lieutenant, Ukafa, who does appear throughout the movie. As one might expect, the film is filled with sword battles from the very opening, and there are many scattered throughout. The action and violence described is so graphic that it's obvious this will work best as a gore-soaked R-rated film with lots of sex, nudity, and violence, as it tries to capitalize on the success of Zack Snyder's 300 and similar testosterone-driven sword and sorcery fare. Either way, this is a very cool script, very clever and entertaining, mostly driven by the action, and in the hands of the right director and with the right guy in the main role, hopefully somebody with more acting chops than the 80s Schwarzenegger, this could revive the character in a way that audiences who weren't alive for the previous movies will now have a new Barbarian to root for. This has been Latino Review's first look at Conan.